You're going to need safety goggles and gloves, a T20 Torx driver, a red marker, not absolutely essential, but it makes the job a little bit easier, 3 drill bits. You're going to need a 5/32, a 1/8, and something smaller than a 1/8 for drilling pilot holes. You'll need some cutting oil. You can get this at your local Ace Hardware for about $8. And you're going to need a drill. You're also going to need needle nose pliers. This is for removing pop rivets that are a little bit stubborn. A razor blade for cutting through silicone sealant. A pick with a right angle attachment. This is for pulling off silicone that doesn't want to come off. WD-40, a flathead screwdriver. This helps you manipulate the control arms for the sunroof. A pop rivet tool. And a repair kit from the Sunroof Doctor. There are a total of 11 rivets you'll need to drill out. There's 5 on each side, 5 here, 5 there, and 1 here. Now this one's going to take a 1/8 drill bit. That's the largest drill bit you'll use on that rivet. The rest of them all take a 5/32. Now the 5 over here, there's these 2 at the end. There's the one holding the drain trough, the one in front of the drain trough. There's another one down in the channel here beneath the drain trough that you have to get out of there. You do that by first removing this one, then that one, then the one down there, and these 2 last. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 5/64 drill bit. I'm going to put some cutting oil on it after I clean off the metal bits. Put some cutting oil on each of these rivets, and I'm going to start drilling pilot holes. Now sometimes this drill bit by itself will be... Anyway, 5/64 drill bit. Go around, drill pilot holes, like so. Alright, so now I've switched to a 5/32 drill bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the tops off of these guys. Starting with that one. There we go. There's one. Now the secret with the bigger drill bit is to go slow. So the first one you saw I went fast. The second one just going real slowly. If you go fast, you'll screw it up. But if you go slowly, it will just rip that rivet hop right off. Just like that. It's that easy. Now we're at the back of the sunroof, towards the rear of the car, and this is the rear drain. You need to take off both rear drains, one on each side. Now the drain is held on by a seam of silicone underneath this. It's the black silicone here. You can see it sticking out right there. Zoom in a little bit, get a better look. And the way you get that off is you spray WD-40 underneath this. So you got to lift it up a little bit if you can. See, it wiggles a tiny bit. And then you take a razor blade, like that, and you slide the razor blade underneath this, and you cut the silicone. Now, I've got this piece removed now. There's the remains of the silicone bead. The silicone bead extends all the way across this, forms a right angle there, and then in this, there's actually a channel that runs to the top of this, down inside, comes across here, and then loops inside there and goes to the back, and that's how it seals. And the drain is in that bigger hole on top. So now I'm at the other side of the sunroof, and I've got this piece off, and one thing I learned the hard way is when you're taking this off, don't do this to get it off. Don't wiggle it up and down. And the reason you don't want to wiggle it up and down is because you end up with this. You see, I broke a piece off. So right there. Now luckily I have a junkyard sunroof with spare parts, so this doesn't affect me too much. You, on the other hand, if you don't have a spare sunroof, gotta be careful, man. Be careful. Now we have to take off this metal plate right here. It's held on by two T20 Torx fasteners, and under that it's supposed to look sort of like this. The cable comes out here, hooks into this little plastic doohickey there, and slides back and forwards and backwards, causing the arm to rise and fall, which raises the glass. Now what you're going to see is, when I go to the other side, is that this piece right here is shattered. Okay, so back to the other side. Got the screws off. When I lift that up, what do we see? I zoom in there and look at that. It's shattered. Take that, and that's why your sunroof on a Saturn stops working, because the manufacturer made that piece out of plastic instead of out of metal. So the solution is to replace that plastic part with a metal part. And that is the metal part. This is not going to break anytime, well, ever. To move your sunroof arm backwards and forwards, you're going to need a very long and narrow flathead screwdriver. And what you do is you start by pushing on the cable guide. That's the part the cable hooks into, right where it hooks into it, if that's still there, or on the side over here if it's not. And you just push that under the guide rail, and once it gets under there a little bit, you move your screwdriver into the arm here, and there's a piece that's sloping down at 45 degrees, and you push on that to go forward, right? And that moves the arm forward and begins it sliding. There is only one way to raise or lower the arm. Now what you don't do is this. You don't push down and you don't pull up. You have a very limited range of movement you'll get if you do that. The way you control the arm height is by pushing on the cable guide. So you can push back to lower it, or you can push forward to raise it. But see, pushing and pulling does nothing except stress out the arm and possibly break something.